past couple games where he's really struggled?
I think the tempo of the game, the way the game was played, it's Russ is the less organized the game, the better he is.
Did you just kind of throw out the playbook, or?
No, we tried to run things, but you're breaking pressure. You know, we had to put in a new press offense. You know, I showed up this morning and Gorky couldn't practice yesterday, and Bullock couldn't practice yesterday. And I said, okay, Gorky, you take off and be ready tomorrow. And he shows up today in a neck brace with the guy, the hammer from the billboard on the side of the road is with him. And so I thought he had an automobile accident. The heavy guy hammer, whatever the hell that guy did. Heavy hitter. So I said, Gorky, what's with the neck brace? He said, I can't move my neck, and Fred told me to wear it. I said, are you playing? He said, no. And now we're going to start Zach. I said, okay, Zach, you're going to be able to do it. And not taking anything away from Zach, you got to really flash and pass the basketball. And Gorky, the doctors did something to him. I don't know what they did, about an hour or so before the game, and he was able to play, at least move his neck. And they just used some illegal drugs.
That set drug at 13 and 14, what does that say about Gorky?
He couldn't, I'm telling you, he couldn't even move. I mean, this was a game where we were really, really tired physically. We didn't have much of a bench. And we needed him to play big, and he did.
I feel like your team maybe answered some questions from the last couple of games.
What did Carolina lose by today? Anybody know?
30-something. 30-something.
They'll probably pack the season in now. What do you think, Carolina, any good? It's a game, guys. We lost by 33, and we were the number one seeds. We didn't play well at all. Nobody did. They played great. Providence made shots, and we watched every film they played. They never shot the ball like that, and we played terrible. So you give them credit and you move on. There's no question. It's one game. It's one game. The effort has been phenomenal the whole season. The execution hasn't, and you know. And I apologize for getting on you yesterday. What upset me so much is the fact that I've been so disappointed this year and last year that we couldn't practice. So when I heard that stuff, it really got me. Normally, I mean, Rick will knock me all the time, he'll knock me. That doesn't bother me, nobody tells me. It really bothered me because the one thing I missed more than anything else was not having any ability to practice. Yesterday we went for 35 minutes, never broke a sweat. We're in terrible shape. And it's been that way for a year and a half now. So when I hear that, it turns my stomach, and you know, normally nothing like that bothers me, but this really did bother me because there was a time where I would have said my team's really, really worked, but it hasn't been the last year and a half. And not their fault. They're willing to work. It's just there's sometimes where we have 9 guys in practice. 9 guys. And a manager is dumbing up the plays and something, you know, so it's been we've got to stop talking about it because it's been as difficult a situation as I've possibly been in. And the reason I like it so much is the guys give great effort. And we had a really bad game against Providence. They had a great game, so we put it behind us and get a victory.
I think this is the second time in the last 6 games you broke the 70-point barrier. Do you feel like your offense is doing better than it was? Were you okay with it before?
Our offense was Russ Smith in the middle of a playground in Queens. That was our offense.
Chris had 20 points too.
Yeah, Chris ran the offense. Russ ran over. Okay, here comes Tiny Archibald. Let me take him. You know. So, you know, but you have to play that way against them because they're always trapping. So you have to flash, look opposite, go back door, and we did those things. You had to rely tonight on basketball instincts, not on an offense. You had to bring 4 guys up against pressure. You know, you have to do this. And they're not going to let you play a normal game. They're going to continue trapping until they get their runs.
With that being said, is this maybe a better game that you didn't have Kyle in because maybe it's more basketball?
Yeah, I think if this was a real basketball game we had executed, we would have been in a little trouble tonight. The fact that it was helter-skelter because we can play that way. And we could have some good runs as well. So we did a lot of nice things, and I was really, really proud of Gorky that he toughed it out because, I mean, really, he could not, he would move his eyes, but not his neck. So I'm really proud of him that he got it out because we would have been in trouble without him tonight.
You talk about the short turnaround.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
You talk about the short turnaround going to Marquette, and how's Kyle doing?
You know, I don't know. I don't know how any injuries. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Gorky will be up or I don't know if Kyle will be all right. I have no idea.
Moving on to Marquette, and then with a short, I mean, less than 48 hours, I guess, to go up there and play. Just talk about it.
You know, our goal is to win every home game and get 2 road games. That's our goal. Win every home game, get 2. It's not going to be easy. And you look at the way West Virginia's playing on the road, and certainly Pittsburgh's going to get it back when they moved Ashton to the 2 now. They look much better. They almost had a win. So it's going to be a tough task. But we've answered the bell every season. I remember 1 February we had to win 7 out of 8, 6 out of 8, something like that. And we did it. So we feel we're going to answer the bell because we think we will get able to practice and get healthy.
Do you change those things up as the season goes along? Last year you had the 3-game segments that you wanted the team to look at.
We didn't do any of that this year until you do that when things aren't going well, and you want to give your guys a silver lining to look at something positively and not negatively. So you give them those goals. Look, we're not out of it. We're fine. Here's what we need to do. We're capable of winning every home game. We didn't lose a Big East game last year. You know, you start taking that type of jogging.
Coach, with Buckles, you see glimpses of what he used to be. How close is he to playing that way consistently from a physical standpoint?
Well, you know, it's been a long time, but 15, 20 years ago, an ACL ended your career. I remember it ended Bernard King. He's never the same. Today, you can come back, but it takes a good year and a half. Even though they come back from an injury, they don't come back 100%. And, you know, like he tweaked, I don't know if you watched it tonight, he tweaked his knee running up and down, and he's constantly tweaking it and missing it. He's only practiced, I would say, 20% of the time because some days we swim him because he's got to get through this year. We need him as a backup.
How your team handled Providence, did that teach you something about this team or just confirm what you already knew?
You're going to make me answer that again after I just gave it. I just went through a whole diatribe about it. You know, I just think we put it behind us. You know, I remember this so well. We lost the 2nd game of the season. I was with UB Brown, who I think is just one of the most brilliant, organized game organizers I've ever been around in my life. And 2nd or 3rd game of the season, 1st game I was really down. We lost at the buzzer with World Be Free hitting a shot when we led the whole game. It was at the 2nd or 3rd game I got on the bus and I was distraught. Back then I had 1 assistant. And I just kept pouting. He said, "What's wrong?" And I said, I can't believe that we lost it. And he said to me, "Is this going to go on for 81 more games?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "We got 81 more to play. Get over it. And let's go." And that was a valuable lesson very early in the season. You know, it's the same thing that you know, Dick Vitale, when he got fired in his 2nd year with the Pistons, Richie Adebayo was with him, and I said, "What was it like coaching with Dick?" And he said, you wouldn't believe it. It's this was a pro game, 100 games a season with exhibition and playoffs. And Bob Lanier, Dick, and Richie were very close. And Dick, the 6th game of the season, they lost like 4 out of 5 and 6th game. He was going, "This is our night. Come on, Big Bob, and this is our night. We're going to kick the hell out of this team. They can't play with us. I'm telling you, we'll peel the paint off for. Come on." And Bob Lanier in the middle of it said, "Hey, Dick," raised his hand and said, "It's not going to go on now for 75 more games, is it?" And the guy said, "What did he do?" Richie said, "Oh, he was distraught." He got Big Bob after. He said, "Bob, don't embarrass me like that." He said, "Dick, you can't do it like that. It just can't. We got 75 more to play." And I think Dick made a very smart move at that point in going to ESPN, because guys like that and people who take every loss as if it's the last one on earth can't coach in the pros, because that's the way it is. So in college, you certainly show them what we did wrong. The one thing nobody ever does anymore is nobody ever gives the other team great credit. That was the best Providence has played in 5 years. They made shots they have never made. We didn't play well at all. Give them some credit. You know, it's what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong. Well, you can go 100 different reasons what's wrong, but you got to figure out what's right for the next game. Well, if you keep dwelling on what's wrong, then everybody's going to be a defeatist, and then they're going to think they can't win anymore.
Coach, is Chris Smith finally kind of playing within himself? I know it's 2 games he's had.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think Chris has tried to do things he can't do. You know, he'll try to dribble the ball and not take the shot. He's used to doing what Kyle does, is moving to open areas, getting the shot, going back door. He's a good jumper. Where before he was trying to do things off the bounce, that's not his thing. Yeah, it's more Russ, it's more Peyton, more Kevin Ware a little bit. So tonight he did things that were very good.
How did you evaluate him at the 3? I mean, did he?
3-point line?
Outside of it? No, I mean playing the 3.
You know, the 2 and the 3, if you're playing zone, it's the same position. The only thing more difficult is you're inside and you have to block out a bigger guy. And at 6'2", it is more difficult for him to do that. But he played a lot of 3 last year when we went with Preston, Peyton, and him. So we were planning on playing Kyle at the 4. That was our strategy. And then somebody said, how did it look? And I said, we literally came out of warm-ups and ran one play. And he said, we never found out. But we were going to go with small against this basketball team tonight.
Coach, there was a team meeting the other day. Is there any more team building exercises planned?
Well, we have about 5 to 7 player meetings a year. They're very good. They need to talk. And, we don't let Andre or anybody in there. It's just them. Want them to talk about it, do something about it, and get ownership on their own. And it was a good meeting because they've played incredibly hard every game but one game. And it happened. It happened. I'm sure it happened to North Carolina today. It just happens in this game. Just move on.
Have you had time to look at Marquette at all?
I was looking at them in the office waiting for the game to start, and I've seen them play a couple of times.
Any thoughts about what you're walking into?
They are great. They don't give you an easy bucket. They'll play the ball as well as anybody, and you've got to be really smart. Like the way we played tonight, Marquette would have a field day. Because if you dribble in any close areas, they strip you, and you have to keep them out of transition. So passing is a premium playing against Marquette. It's the opposite with DePaul. They're trapped. Marquette is they smell blood. They go after the ball, and they're very, very good at it. And what happens is they're great in transition. So they're one of the best transition teams in the Big East. And they change ends very quick.
What's the next step that Russ has to take for him to play the way you want him to, but also not limit his production?
I don't know if that's possible. I really mean that. All I want Russ to do is play defense hard. Everything else, you just got to let him go. You got to let him go, because if he starts evaluating what's a good shot, what's a bad shot, and he starts thinking like that, you're taking away his skill level. He was a normal person, national television, it goes 0 for 3, 0 for 4. You may think of passing. It may cross your mind. If you watched him tonight, do you think it ever crossed his mind?
No.
So all I want him to do is play hard defensively and just let him do his thing. All right, guys, thank you.